Hey there, I'm Tracy Spears, speaker, author, coach, and head cheerleader for anyone wanting to play bigger. This week, my Play Bigger guest is Nancy Gunter. Nancy is the CEO of Gunter Training and specializes in positive mental fitness, emotional intelligence, and generational consulting. She has a master's degree with an emphasis in generational studies and is a Gallup certified strengths coach, a positive intelligence coach, and a speaker trainer. Companies hire her to help solve one of the greatest pain points, and that is workplace clashes between the generations. She's both a generational and team dynamics consultant, along with being a certified executive coach and HR consultant. She also enjoys all types of sports and continues to participate in sprint, Olympic, and half Ironman triathlons. And you're probably one of the most fit friends I have. Every time I see you, you're working out or doing something. So welcome to the podcast, Nancy Gunter.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm super excited that you're here. I have known you for many, many years, and but you were on the periphery for so long. And I remember the first time I saw you speak in front of your team. And you were speaking, and then you were going to introduce me. And after you spoke, I was like, oh my gosh, she and we have to collaborate together. The way you held the audience was so amazing. And I was so impressed by you that, you know, but our audience doesn't, I invited you to be on our staff at the Exceptional Leaders Lab. And it's been a great decision. And we're not easy to be partnered with. So we'll talk about all that later. But let's just tell the audience a little bit about you. Where did you grow up? And let's dig in.
Okay, yeah. So I'll answer that question. But before I do, I want to think back also to that same moment that you said that you came to speak to our staff. Prior to that, I had seen you speak, and I thought, there's no way that she'll ever come and talk to our group. I mean, she's too high level. She's too good. But I thought, well, it never hurts to ask. So anyway, yeah. So it led to that. And I was super, super excited. That particular staff retreat was one of the best, and it's one of the best also for several years after that. The staff were talking about it, but.
Thank you. Right. That's so nice. I appreciate that. Turns out I wasn't too big.
You were perfect. Okay, so I grew up in rural Alabama, North Carolina, and Mississippi. I guess probably one of the earliest shifts that I can remember really was, or maybe the one that had the biggest impact on me, was when we moved from North Carolina to Mississippi. And, I'm a preacher's kid, and I think I'm an introvert. That's how I perceived myself to be, was an introvert, because I was, every time we'd move somewhere different, I didn't know anybody. I thought I didn't want to go out of the house. I thought I can remember distinctly when we moved to Mississippi, crying on my bed, like throwing myself across the bed and just crying because I didn't have any friends. And my parents, however, remember something very different. And I think the move from North Carolina to Mississippi, I was in junior high. I was going into the 9th grade, which is sort of an awkward time anyway.
For sure.
And I can remember my parents sort of telling me, you are an extrovert. You're not an introvert. You need to get out there and go meet people. And so I started playing sports, right? I actually started playing in North Carolina, but then actually realized that I was decent at it. And when I got to Mississippi, and so I started playing sports and immediately, met my friends and realized, I guess the shift was probably more so in my mindset than it was anything else, which was I realized I do make friends fairly easily.
Of course.
I am a little more extroverted than what I thought I was, because I literally thought I was an introvert. Maybe because my brother was. My brother was very much of an introvert, so I just assumed that I probably was too. And apparently I was not.
So there's such thing as a shy extrovert, right? So I experienced you as that, just a little bit reticent, and then once you know a group or whatever, I definitely can read that in you. I've never thought of you as an introvert, though, just so you know.
That's interesting, yeah, because actually through really probably all the way through high school, I thought I was more introverted, but I realized actually in hindsight that I was not. I was more extroverted. But I think you're right. Like I was a shy extrovert, but I was an extrovert. I love people.
Listen, I think so many people get hung up on, are they an introvert or an extrovert? You and I both know you're born with one that is your dominant and that it is your interaction style, right? It's how you process information and from where you get your energy. So when people think it's, am I talking to a bunch of people or am I being quiet? That has nothing to do with introvert or extrovert. And which is why I love this conversation with you. And we've been in it many times. But it's really more about that processing information and energy. And you seem to get your energy from crowds. So, so that was the realization that you had at that point, being around a bunch of people?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And really it's played out throughout my whole career, my whole life. When I was working for the YMCA, I did trainings, training and development. And just yesterday, I had 5 hours with 3 different groups that I was doing training. And the very last one didn't start until 5 o'clock last night. And so physically, I was tired. By the time I got to that point, physically, I was tired. But when that was over, there was probably 30 people in the room. When it was over, I could have stood around for another hour just talking to people about it. I was so energized. 6 o'clock at night, I was so energized at that point that I was like, yeah, come on, let's keep talking about this. I'm good.
Well, so you just checked every extroverted box there is right there with just that one story. So this is where you being an Alabama fan came from. I knew you had Alabama ties, but I mean, you're like a fanatical fan. So you were born in Alabama?
Yes, I was born in Alabama, and I'm a good fanatical fan. I'm not an OU fan, which is probably very dangerous to say on this podcast, but all the same.
I remember sending you a text one time during the Alabama OU game, or it was during an Alabama game, and it was kind of early on, and I said, hey, do you have a minute? I was just testing you, and I don't even think you ever responded. But then I said, I'm just kidding, and you were relieved.
Yeah, if I had responded, it might have been the wrong. Especially if it was Alabama and OU playing, my response might not have been very nice.
Right. That's right. So take us through. So Mississippi, what happens from there? What's the next shift?
Yeah, so graduated high school, went to college in Mississippi.
Where?
Went to Mississippi University for Women.
Okay.
So we're just down the street from Mississippi State. Yeah, so, honestly, probably the next shift was, it was an interesting shift that I didn't want to admit happened. And I don't know whether it was a real shift at the time or if the shift actually took place 13 years later. I'll give you a brief summary of the story.
We're hanging on the edge of our seats. Tell us.
Yeah, exactly. So I go to college, and my sophomore year, I met someone, but it wasn't a guy.
Oh.
And this was back in the 80s. Right. So not cool.
Yeah.
As far as society. And I didn't know what to do. I was head over heels over this person that I could only call a friend. And so really, thinking about the shift, did I have a shift in my own mindset? I don't really know. I fought it for years. I'm a preacher's kid. All right. And so from a religious standpoint, I was struggling.
Sure.
From a societal standpoint, I couldn't tell anybody, couldn't talk to anybody. When I did talk about it, I talked about it from a standpoint of interdependency. I was, I don't know, dependent, whatever the bad thing is. Dependent, not, I don't know, interdependent, I don't know. Whatever the word is, probably dependent. I was dependent on this other person. And I couldn't talk to anybody about it. So there, was there a shift? I don't know. There was a heck of a lot of pain.
Sure. Were you all together? Did you date?
Yeah, we were together. We were roommates in college, and so we were together in college, but yet not out, like clearly not out.
We all had roommates in college.
Yeah, exactly. So exactly.
Like two bedrooms, and one has to look like it's been. You remember I'm doing all those things.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
His parents are coming. Act like you're staying in the other room.
Yep, exactly.
What was the message that so your dad is a preacher? I don't know what the denomination is, and if you don't want to go deep on it, we won't. But had you sat in church and listened to him talk about that in a negative tone before, or was he pretty open-minded as a preacher?
Yeah, so it's United Methodist, and it was not ever talked about. So my religious belief was connected to the societal belief at that point, because really in our church, it really wasn't even a topic of conversation. We just didn't talk about it. However, my brother's 4 years older than I am, and he was out of college. Actually, while he was in college and I was in high school, my parents received a letter saying that he was gay.
What?
And yeah, now he was not, but they received a letter saying that he was.
Who sent the letter?
I don't even know. Somebody that he was in school with. So I don't really know. Like, I don't even know what the whole story was. And of course, I'm younger, but I remember my parents talking about the letter. They weren't necessarily talking to me, but I heard part of the conversation. And at that point, I did not have a context to myself at that point. So I didn't really have a context to myself till I got to college. And he was already, he was graduating at that point out of college. So at that point, the conversation had already been had with my parents, and I'd pretty much forgotten it until I got to college and realized that he wasn't, but I was. And so at that point, again, the initial realization for myself, was it a shift? Well, yeah, but was it a shift that anybody could see? Probably not.
I see.
Not at that point. I was too good at covering things up.
I see. So what? Okay, I've gotten fascinated about the brother piece on this deal. So mom and dad call brother and go, listen, we got a letter that someone says you're gay. And what does he go? That's so stupid, and it's over? Or is it you don't remember?
To my knowledge, they never talked about it.
I see.
With him.
I see.
To my knowledge. If they did, I didn't know anything about it. All I remember was the conversation between them. And the conversation between them was not, oh, this is horrible.
Right.
It was sort of like, okay, what do we do?
Yeah.
What do we do with this? We love him. So that was pretty much it. There wasn't a big hoopla about it. Well, until later on when I brought the letter up.
Tell me more. What does that mean?
I didn't know this is what we were going to talk about.
I had no idea. This is not at all in my script of what I thought Nancy Gunter would want to bring to the party, but I'm loving it. Let's do it.
Okay, so this actually is a pretty big shift, but I have another big shift that has happened a little more recently. But okay, well, I want to finish this one though because it's so okay. I want to tie the letter back to my life.
Okay.
So then I'm in college, right? So I've got a partner at this point. We last for a couple of years. Then I date another girl. Don't tell my parents. My parents know nothing about any of this. And of course, I'm not living at home. I'm living at school, right? I graduate from college and I decide that I need to marry a guy, not a girl. I need to marry a guy. At this point, I've not accepted myself. So that shift has not happened. I'm still fighting my own thoughts about everything. And so I get my first accounting job, which lasted all of the tax season, and I hated it. And eventually, I wind up working for the YMCA. And so I work for a few years in Mississippi for the YMCA, and then I moved to Texas. And during that 3 or 4 years from college until the time I get to Texas, I basically don't date anybody. I think I'm supposed to go out with guys, I don't want to go out with a girl because that's not what I'm supposed to do. And so I basically don't date anybody. So then I get to Texas and I meet Tracy. Daggone Tracy, who I have been together with now for 32 years.
You all have been together 32 years?
Yeah.
Oh my! I can't believe I've known you this long, and I don't know this part of your story. So I'm loving hearing it. Go ahead. All right. So you meet her in Texas.
Yeah. So I meet her in Fort Worth, Texas, and after about a year of being there, we get together, and through about 5 years, I finally accept myself and say, okay, this is just who I am. I'm just going to be this person because this is who makes me happy. Tracy makes me happy. I'm happy when I accept myself as who I am, and I'm with her. I'm not with anybody else.
Is she struggling at all with the sexuality at this point, or was she like...
No, she had already talked with her mom and grandfather, and they already knew everything about her, and she had accepted who she was well before I did. So about 5 years, maybe about 4 years we've been together, I finally said, okay, I am who I am. I'm just going to be this person. Became much happier, but we're still hiding, right? So for 13 years in Texas, we hide.
Oh, wow.
And then we moved to California. And so anyway, sort of make a long story short, I want to come back to this letter. So Tracy and I had been together for probably 16 years by the time, and of course, we have moved to California. So we're roommates in Texas. This is what my parents know. We're roommates in Texas, and then we're roommates in California because we both just happened to get a job out there in the same area. So we're roommates in Texas, and then we're roommates in Oklahoma because we both just happened to get jobs back in Oklahoma again. So this is what my parents know. Anyway.
What? Wait a minute. You buried the lead line. Why do you come to Oklahoma after you get to California and like nobody gives a shit out there who anybody's dating and you're hiding from your family? Why do you move back to Oklahoma?
Our families were both east. Like Tracy's family lives in Texas. Mine lived in Mississippi. We weren't happy so far away from
I see.
Even though like my parents didn't know. My dad, I think, knew. My mom did not. My dad, I think, knew. But...
they're sitting around having dinner. I'm so glad Nancy has that friend of hers that's getting the jobs in the same city she is.
Exactly. Yeah, I can just hear the conversations. Yeah.
Now, so were you all both working at the Y? Because you worked at the Y for how many years?
Yeah, 35 years. And Tracy did as well. We both had lengthy careers with the YMCA.
5 years at the Y. Congratulations. That's remarkable. And what was the job you had at the Y? We'll come back to you coming to Oklahoma, but what was that job that you had?
The one that I finished my career in was the chief learning officer for the Tulsa YMCA.
I see.
And it was a fantastic job. About half my career, maybe a little bit less than half, was spent in that job.
Did you know that you wanted to be a trainer? When you go to the Y, I'm not sure what the jobs are or were then. I know you're incredibly athletic and all the things, and I assume there's camps and all the things that in the workout. But you really became the trainer for how to the leadership training program and all that. That's what I watched you do that day when we were holed up at Camp Winnetonka or whatever. Where were we?
I don't even remember.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, so for you, did you always know you wanted to be on stage? You wanted to be the person in the front of the room?
Yeah. Gosh, this is so interesting. And there's so many shifts actually, as I'm thinking about this. It actually comes back a little bit to the introvert extrovert thing. And I want to come back to the letter that my
God, come back to that. All right, make them wait. Oh no, not now. Let's just make them wait to the end.
There's more to it. The introvert extrovert thing, when I started working for the YMCA, I was going to do camping. That was one piece in Mississippi that they were going to have me do. Well, I didn't know anything about it. So I said, I need to go to a conference and learn about it. And so they sent me. And at that conference, there was an older executive director there that saw me, and I felt more introverted. Just like you said, I was a very quiet extrovert, shy extrovert, And so I really wasn't like, I'm not on stage. I'm not making a name for myself or anything, but he sees me and he invites me to a meeting like the night before the conference ends of people that he would like to become day camp trainers.
Oh,
So
wow.
people that are actually going to train others how to run day camps and how to do day camps. Well, one, I had never done a day camp before. I'd never been responsible, but I'm in the conference. But he saw this in me. And so it was that was a shift as well, because it was a change in how I saw myself at that point. So I go and do my first training about, 3 or 4 months after the conference was over. There is no training design. There's nothing. There's a book. It's about yay thick, and I have to read the book and then teach people what's in the book. And so I had to create like my own training design. I had a co-trainer that had done it once before, and so the two of us did it. And I look back on it, and I think now I'm like, oh, that had to have been the worst training that anybody ever went through. But it created in me a love. This was in my 20s, a love of being on stage, of being, the speaker or the trainer, and helping people see the things that maybe they don't see right now, either their ability or some little nugget, like the aha moments that people have.
Right.
That was just like super inspiring to me.
Love that. Well, listen, I have sat in the audience and watched you do that and watched people have those moments. And you have such an amazing way about the way you communicate that, I think makes an audience feel safe. And I don't think that's easy to do. And I think you're very, very good at it. So, and you're talking about sensitive topics too. So let's dig in a little bit about that. Whenever you want to talk about the letter, though, just let me know and we'll talk about the letter. So you come back to Oklahoma, and parents are still in Mississippi.
Yep.
And Tracy's parents are in Texas. But Tracy's whole family knows about you all, and everything's good.
Yep.
Where's the moment where you're like, I'm just going to tell everybody in the family? When does that happen?
Yeah, so there's actually probably about 3 shifts that happened. One was when we left Texas. There was one person who worked for YMCA of the USA that could help find jobs. They knew where some jobs were open. And so when Tracy got the job before she got the job in California, I called this person because Tracy was wanting like the next step. And so I called this person and I said, hey, Tracy's looking, my friend Tracy.
My roommate.
Yeah, my roommate is looking for her next move, her next career move. Do you know of anything? And this person asked me, am I looking for one person or 2?
Oh.
And I literally sat there. I thought for 30 minutes before I answered that question. It was probably 30 seconds, but it just seemed like forever because in my head, I was playing through, what are my options? What are the answer choices? If I say 1, then that means she finds a job for Tracy and I'm out of luck. If I say 2, now I'm admitting that Tracy and I are together. So what is she going to think then? I played those scenarios through my head like multiple times, like, I don't know. And again, what felt like 30 minutes, it was 30 seconds. And I finally said 2. And so she said, okay. And then that was it.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, now there's one person at YMCA of the USA that knows. And I don't know about anybody else.
I don't think younger people can appreciate, I hope they can appreciate it, but the gravity of that moment for you, knowing you could both lose your jobs. I mean, there was so much on the line back then. So for you to be able to pull that and a person on the other end to be an ally, thank goodness. That's all I'll say about that. So, wow. Do you stay in touch with that person? Was that just a one and done? You never saw her again?
No. We're actually friends through the training world. We had done trainings together. We knew each other. We'd never lived in the same city or anything. But yeah, we stayed in touch until she retired. So yeah, it was a good relationship. And I commend her because she had developed a level of trust. Like I trusted her enough to say, I need you to find 2 jobs.
She's sitting around telling the story. There were these 2 girls, I'm telling you, like they didn't think anybody knew.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. Quite funny in hindsight.
I love that. I love that. All right.
Okay.
So shift me into wherever you want to go.
All right. So that was one of the 3 shifts. That was one. The second shift was actually when we left California and came back to Oklahoma. I come to Tulsa to interview with the CEO for this. It was an HR position that also had risk management and training and development. And of course, I tell the HR director, I tell the CEO, I can do training and development. That is totally my arena right there. But I don't know anything about HR and risk management. And she says, oh, you can learn it. So I'm like, okay, all right, then I'll learn it. But in the interview, so here's the second shift that sort of happens along this part of my life. In the interview, she offers me the job. Like literally in the interview, she offers me the job. And I'm thinking, well, this is great, except that Tracy's still in California. And I can't, I'm not going to live in Oklahoma without Tracy being somewhere in Oklahoma. How are we going to do long distance California to Oklahoma? So in the interview, after the job offer's made, I say, I start crying in the interview because I'm so emotional about that point. And I say, I have to go back and talk to Tracy about this and make sure that we're going to be okay. And so a second time now, I'm admitting in the Midwest that I'm together with somebody. And that time it was, I don't want to hide anymore. I've experienced California now. Sure. I know that out there, they don't care. But back here, they still do care. And so it was sort of another shift that was okay, what do I'm going to say this because I just can't go back to where we have to pretend like we don't know where the other person is. And I can't tell you what I did on the weekend or anything like that. I just couldn't go back to that again. And she said, well, of course you do.
That's amazing.
Okay. So again, I'm like,
that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have that experience with with the culture of the YMCA? Was that a cultural thing or was it pockets like it is everywhere?
It's probably a little bit of pockets, like it is everywhere. I think, when Tracy left, she was the first one to leave Texas and go to California. And then I got a job right after that. When she left, I could tell, which of my friends knew about us already, that we thought we had hidden it so well and we hadn't.
Right.
And which of my friends either didn't want to talk about it or didn't know.
Yeah.
And the ones that didn't want to talk about it or didn't know, they would say, when are you getting a new roommate? And the other ones would say, when are you moving to California?
I see.
So I could tell pretty quick who wanted to talk and who didn't. So
That's good.
I'm good with that. All right. Good. So the third shift is the letter. All right. And this whole
I don't think any more drama has ever been built in any of my podcasts or something.
Oh my goodness. All right. So my parents get this letter when I'm in high school, and I don't actually talk to them about it until I'm in my 40s. And in my 40s, we are back in Texas. We are back in Oklahoma at this point. And I'm at dinner this tells you probably how long ago it was. I don't know. We were at Shoney's Big Boy. Shoney's Big Boy. There's none of them.
Combine two names. Isn't there a Big Boy and a Shoney's? You just can combine them both.
It used to be called Shoney's Big Boy.
Did it have that giant kid holding a burger up over his head? Is that what you're talking about?
Yep, that's them. So
for people that aren't from Oklahoma, I don't know if that was a nationwide thing, but that was like a 30-foot tall.
Yeah. And I don't know if we were actually in Mississippi or if we were in Oklahoma at the time, but I might have been visiting them and this came up. So we're sitting in a booth, and I'm thinking I really need to talk to my parents about me. I need them to be okay with Tracy and I being together. At this point, we've been together for 20 years or something. I really want them to know. I want them to experience a part of my life. I need them to know who I really am. And so I decided to ask them, and I didn't actually come out to them at this point, but it was the beginning. I said, do y'all remember that letter you got about my brother? when he was in college about him being gay. I don't know. We were already like on sort of the periphery of the conversation. And I asked them that, and they said, yeah, we remember that. And I said, what would you have done if he really was? Like, if he really was gay, what would have been your reaction? Because I needed to know, what were they going to say when I told them about me?
Right.
And they sat there for a minute, and then they both sort of looked at me like, well, he's our son. We would have loved him. We might not agree, which they said this too. We might not agree with what he's doing, but we would love him. And we might have had a little bit more conversation around it, but really not a whole lot at that point, because I wasn't quite ready yet to tell them. But at that point, I felt a lot safer in actually having that conversation.
Do you think they're sitting there going, well, I mean, obviously nobody in the family's gay. I mean, what do you think they're sitting there going, tell us, Nancy, just tell us?
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know if they were really wanting me to yet or not. But my mom actually didn't. She didn't know. Like, literally, she did not know until the last part, which here's the last piece of the whole line of my life, right? My shifts. Tracy and I have been together for probably a little over 20 years, and my parents came to town for Thanksgiving. And Tracy ended up not being there for Thanksgiving. I don't know if she was with her family or somewhere, but I decide that I need to talk to them. This is the point where I need to. I think Tracy and I might have even been having a few struggles then, and so I needed my parents' support.
Yeah.
And so my dad and I would go on walks quite often. My mom she didn't have the stamina to go with us, so my dad and I were on a walk, and we're walking on this little path, and I'm not looking at him, and we have pretty, really good conversations as we talk, deep conversations.
Is he still preaching at this point? Does he still have a church? Okay.
He's still an active minister. Yeah.
Right.
And so we're walking, and I'm not looking at him, and I say, Daddy, I need to tell you something. And he's like, okay. And so again, I'm not looking at him. We're not stopping. We are walking, right? And I said, I don't know if you know or not. And of course, I'm crying by this point too, but I don't know if you know or not, but I'm gay. And we walk a little bit farther, and he says, I figured that, and that's all he said. We continued to walk, and we continued to talk about it. He is not judging me in any way whatsoever. He's just listening to me. And I'm telling him, I need, like, y'all are my parents. I need y'all right now. And so we're just, we're walking, we're talking. We talk through, like, I tell him a lot of the last 20 years. I tell him a lot of what that's been like.
Sure.
And I don't know, we probably walked 10 miles that day. I don't even know how far we walked. But I remember coming back to the house, and we're almost to the house, and my dad says, do you want me to tell your mom, or do you want to? And I said, would you? And he says, of course I will. So
can you wait until I'm gone?
That's what I wanted him to do, but yeah, he didn't do that. So he goes in, and he tells my mom immediately. And so then they both come out of the bedroom that they would sleep in whenever they were visiting us. So they both come out, and my mom has a harder time with it than what my dad did. My dad pretty much in that moment, it was like, okay, that's where we are.
Sure.
And that's where we are. Like, that's it. That's the end of that. You're my daughter. I love you. That's it. My mom had a little bit harder time. Not that she did not love me. She couldn't understand it.
Sure.
Couldn't understand why would you choose this? Because that's how she was seeing it. Why would you choose this? And of course, I tried to help her understand as much as I could. And I ended up writing her a letter after they left to give her an understanding of, I don't know how many pages it was, but it was basically just my life through college, all the way up through my 40s when I finally came out to them.
Do you think that moms, I know my mom was trying to figure out who to blame. Like she was like, well, I think this is because of your father. I'm sure of it. Or This is because of, and also, I mean, she had to let go of her dream of your mom did, I would imagine, of you walking down the aisle and having
Yep.
kids. I mean, now, a bunch of gay people are having kids and all the things, but that was not really on the table for us. Cause I mean,
Yeah.
there were people, and I know you remember this, that wouldn't even let us babysit if they knew that we were gay. Like it was
Yeah.
it was so brutally oppressive. So I'm sure
Yeah.
she grieved a lot of that. Is that what your
Yeah.
understanding is?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I don't think she was really like, she wasn't, at least I don't think she was really looking for who to blame in the whole picture. I think it was probably a lot of what you just said. Like she was grieving what she thought the future would look like.
Sure, sure.
Although by that point I was in my 40s, so I don't think I was going to be having any kids anytime soon. So
Did you ever want to have kids?
I did. Yeah, I did for a while. But then Tracy and I took care of a 16-year-old for 6 months, and that pretty much took care of it.
Understood. Understood. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. I love that. I want to shift you now into how do you, and this is such, I really just want to end it here and like just keep talking about it. But I do want to talk about your generational expertise. I mean, it feels like that story you just shared with us was like a training ground, so to speak, about how different generations process information. Do you think that kind of spurred that on a bit, that you were really trying to, honor them and the generations they were from, or what? So tell the audience a bit, first of all, about your generational studies, because you have a master's degree in this. Is this right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. And yeah, so the generational studies actually stemmed from me supervising a bunch of different generations and not understanding any of them.
I see.
And so then I wanted to learn more, and so I did end up learning more. But in the process of my study, my intensive 2 years of my master's degree, all of that study, I talked a lot to my parents about it, and I did. There is definitely an honoring of that traditionalist generation every time I present. I hate that 5 years from now, 6 years from now, that generation is not going to be a part of my presentation anymore.
Sure.
Because it's these younger generations that are the ones that are now coming into the workforce. And so, and I hate that, because that generation was so impactful, so powerful. And, these very youngest kids, they're not really going to know a whole lot about that generation.
So I've just in listening to you say that, I'm wondering, everything comes full circle. Do we go back to that generation at some point because of everything that's happening? Does it cycle back? I mean, or do we just keep evolving?
I think we keep evolving, but my hope is that the baby boomers will eventually be recognized sort of the same way the traditionalists are now. Right now, the baby boomers are almost like, I don't know, people don't want them. Like, we don't want the baby boomers. They've done so many bad things. We don't want the baby boomers. But my hope
is so not true.
So not true. I agree 100%. Like, life was so different when we were growing up. But
that's right.
My hope is that 5 or 10 years from now, that people will actually see the baby boomers for what we struggled with. Sure. And the things that we advanced forward, and all the good things that we did as a generation, that people will be able to start seeing that and, recognize all the hard work and everything that our generation actually did do.
Tell me why you think there's such a disdain for the baby boomers from the younger generations. What is it that's the rub?
I think the younger generation sort of see the baby boomers as, wasting a lot. I think part of it is that the baby boomers grew up as a very affluent, like during an affluent time of our nation. And so the shift from the traditionalists to the baby boomers was pretty significant. The traditionalists sacrificed a lot, but the baby boomers didn't have to sacrifice that much, because we were growing up in such an affluent time. And I think maybe it's a little bit of seeing, from the traditionalists to the baby boomer generation, the younger generations are like, well, look, y'all didn't sacrifice. Well, we actually did. If you think about all the things that you have today that we did not have, even the stories that I just shared, about my life growing up and trying to come out to my parents, how many years that took. Like that's a thing that you have today because of the struggles we had as a generation,
Yeah. It's
40 years ago.
It seems like, and you and I share a lot of trainings together, and it seems that the baby boomers get a bad rap for being, my way or the highway. There's one way to do things, and walking uphill both ways, all that, kind of very you have to earn your way kind of thing. Is that true, or do I have generations confused?
No, walking uphill both ways, might be a little bit more traditionalist, but the baby boomers do, they have really high expectations. And it's because there were 80 million of them that were going into the workplace together. And so they had to do whatever was necessary to keep their job. And so that led to the 50-hour work week. It led to having no butt in the seat kind of expectations, that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, older baby boomers, I think, had carried that through most of their work life.
Sure.
Younger baby boomers and Gen X, it shifts with that group. But yeah, younger generations look at baby boomers and say, relax.
Yeah.
Why do you have to be so intense?
Yeah.
Why do you want to work all the time?
So I'm a cusper, I guess, X or boomer, and I identify, I don't know. When I hear you do it, I mean, I was the, latchkey kid, nobody knew where we were. Nobody was overseeing us. And I mean, I was just, in the trailer park, we had our own culture and we had our own hierarchy and all that. And parents had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
So, I think, when I think about that upbringing, I miss that, by the way, that I think some of the younger generations, how do you know that you can depend on yourself if you don't have to ever as a kid? We learned that resilience and we learned that. Is that what you're seeing as one of the big differences in generations? Or tell me, if it's not, what would be some of the issues that you deal with typically in the work that you do?
Yeah. So Gen X was the last generation that really had the ability to go out on their own and do come home when the streetlights come on kind of generation. Some of the biggest struggles that I'm seeing right now have to do with what is labeled as work ethic, because everybody's interpretation of that is different, and we all expect people to see it the way we see it. So work ethic, technology is another thing. AI, especially as it comes in now with Gen Z and with Generation Alpha, which is the very youngest. There's not a lot of research out yet on them, but AI is going to come into the workplace and it's going to change the way we do things, and that's going to be a very how we use technology, if even working from home kind of stuff, if we can't figure that out in the workplace, we're going to disconnect. Generations are going to have a really hard time working together.
Yeah. It's interesting to watch, whether it's whatever, work home or go to the office, it's 50-50. It just seems to be, we're so divided in so many different areas as a country, but I also know globally that happens as well. For you right now, so you have shifted into, you leave the why, you go out on your own, you have a company called Gunter Training, and I'm kind of catching people up a bit. You also are affiliated with our organization, the Exceptional Leaders Lab. And by the way, I know how hard that is to be a partner of mine, because there's no hand-holding, and you are so resilient, and I'm so grateful to you that you just keep the train going down the tracks. And I just want to say thank you for that, because I never worry about you. I never worry about referring you to anyone. I know you're always going to do an amazing job. And I know a lot of people will listen to this podcast that'll go, hey, wait a minute. Okay, that's the Nancy that she's talking about, because Melissa and I are always talking about you. So thank you for making us look good, truly. And I also want you to comment on kind of, this Iron Man, and tell me about that, because you have 2 knees replaced within 6 months of each other. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. And I had a knee replaced, and I'm still whining about it, and it's almost 2 years ago. So, I mean, did you just approach that with this is just necessary so I can get back to doing an Ironman on my triathlons? Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the knee replacements were in 2015, both of them in the same year for insurance reasons, so that I didn't have to pay in 2 different years. So
I see.
there's the reason for that. But yeah, so I was actually having difficulty kneeling, and like I couldn't squat anymore at all because my left leg was consistently bent, and I was limping, and I didn't even realize I was limping, starting to have back issues, all of that. So I got that one replaced. Then I got the right one replaced. And it literally took me probably a year and a half after the second one to learn how to run again.
Okay.
I had to retrain the way my muscles, I guess, worked together. I couldn't run. I literally couldn't run. I could walk. Like walking was no problem, but I couldn't run. So not that I really wanted to run. Maybe that was a part of it too. I don't know, but yeah. And so after I got my knees replaced, I did 3 half Ironmans. I've never done a full Ironman.
Okay.
But I did 3 halves, which was plenty far enough for me. But I did 3 half Ironmans, and now I still do Olympic and sprint, but I don't like to do anything more like longer distance than that. It's just not enjoyable anymore. But
well, I'm a year and a half out, and I'm just now, I will never run, but I'm like every now and then I have to run just because I'm in a hurry. So I'll get that running, but walking and all the things. But that's no joke, that, the knee replacement and coming back from all that. But you were very inspiring to me when I had to go through that, because you kept saying, it's no big deal, it's no big deal. And then I was like, she lied. It's such a big
I didn't tell you about the first 4 weeks after surgery. That's a big deal. But yeah, after that, you're all good.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So the last thing I want to make sure we talk about is this positive intelligence, because you and I, Wally, our business partner, had us get on this call. That was your introduction to it. Is that right?
Yes.
You,
yeah,
Wally?
exactly. It was. Yep.
Yeah. So Wally, he said, I need 5 people to get on this call, and we're going to have to commit to 6 weeks, which is just hard for all of us to go, oh my God, I can't commit to anything for 6 weeks. And so we get on, or 6 months, I don't even remember now. But, and so we all left that training going, that was really, really good. You left that training saying what?
Yeah, it changed my life. It was amazing. And I want to back up just a little bit. When I left the Y, it was not my choice. Like the Y decided they didn't want me working for them anymore, which is which I know a lot of people listening, they've potentially been there before as well.
Of course, as have I. Yes.
Yeah. That's a hard message to hear, and it's a hard place to be. And within like 24 hours of being given that message, I ended up in your office saying, Tracy, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, can you help me? Like, I don't know what to do. And I remember you telling me, one, you said, okay, how much do you need to make each month? Like, what's the bottom line number? And we talked a little bit about that. And then you said, don't worry about it. You're going to be fine. I'll help you in whatever way I can, but you're going to be fine. And I sort of hung on to that, just like continuing to think, okay, she said I'd be fine. And it was a little bit of like this light that says, you're not by yourself. You're okay. There is a light, like right down here, down this little tunnel, there's a light. It might not be as bright as you want, but it's there. And then, so if that's there, just be brave and try something. And so I got extremely fortunate in getting a client and managed to sort of get my feet up under me. And then Wally calls. And he says, do you want to do this positive intelligence thing? And of course, at that point, I'm like, well, sure. I don't have a problem with giving up, 6, 8 weeks.
I got plenty of time.
I got plenty of time. Yeah. So I went through it, and I learned so much about myself and had so much fun with you guys actually going through it and hearing that, like, I'm not the only one that does this stuff. Like, everybody does this stuff. And I had studied neuroscience for about 25 years at that point. And so I could see all the connections from a neuroscience standpoint. And that's one of the things that really made me gravitate to it, was the neuroscience that supports it. And so I'm sort of building my business, and I decide that I want to do more with PQ, with this company and with this program. And so I, put all the effort into learning about it, studying it, paid my little annual fee to give it a shot, tried it out like 3 or 4 times with some people for free, just sort of see if I could do this. And so that was like 5 years ago. And now it is probably 50% of what I spend my time on, and probably 50% of my revenue as well, is that program with a variety of companies. And the reason that I want to do it is because the work that I did for the Y, I always felt like I was called into that business. And so when they said, we don't want you here anymore, it was like taking a dagger to the heart, because I felt like I was still called to be there. And for a year after that, I didn't know what to do. And then when PQ came along, that I felt like that dagger was removed, and I finally had something to be called to do again, which was to open doors for other people to learn about themselves so that they can become better. They can be more successful. They can have better relationships. They can be healthier. All those things makes me feel good. And so if I can give you something like that, then like my whole mindset shifted whenever I went through that and realized this is actually possible. Like I saw our change just in our group, but then I would see changes happen to the people that were going through the program with me. And I was like, okay, this is real. Like this isn't just me. This is 100% real.
So I'm sad that we're not going to do a longer commercial for that, but I will make sure people know how to find you. But I want to comment on 2 things. One is I do remember you being in my office right after that. And I had just been fired from my job of 29 years, I think right before that, like a year or 2 maybe, because I don't know how long you've been gone from the Y, but, and I just remember thinking, if the one thing that she needs right now is the confidence, because she doesn't know how good she is. I just remember thinking, oh, and it was so easy to cheer for you. And it was so easy to give you that. There was nothing false in anything that I was saying. I was just like, when it happened to me, I was like, I didn't think what I knew would serve me in any rooms other than that organization. And I knew you were sitting there in that exact thing. I know this world, I've been here 35 years, is what I know, is it going to matter out there? And so that's what made it so easy. I was like, not only is it going to matter out there, it's going to matter more out there if we can just get you, in the right space. But for the audience, what I want you all to know is, Nancy's an amazing facilitator, and she facilitates these sessions that really invite you to think about what your saboteurs are. What are the things that sabotage you? There's a lot of emotional intelligence in this. There's so many things, but it is transformative. And, as you have sent Dr. Sividon through it, and, I won't tell you what hers is or tell the audience, because it would wouldn't be fair, but I'll say to her, I think it's your, saboteur, and named saboteur. And she's like, I know it, so it's a very shortcutted language. So, as we bring this to a close, I mean, listen, I know there's more shifts to come, but let me just ask you, what is the next shift for you?
Wow. Honestly, it's retirement at some point. And I've been thinking a little bit about it. It's not like immediate, but I've been thinking about it and wondering, I have a need to be needed. And when I retire, some of that need from other people goes away. So I've been thinking a little bit about, okay, what am I going to do where I still feel needed once I retire?
Well, I hope it's not anytime soon, and yet I hope it's tomorrow. I equally, both of those, because you deserve that. And yet I think the world needs more Nancy Gunter in it. So and your influence has been great, and, with our clients, and just a giant thank you for the partnership. How can people find you if they want to learn a little bit more about you, a little bit more about hiring you to stand on stages, because you're an amazing speaker as well. So how can they find you?
So they can go to my website, guntertraining.com, or they can email me at Nancy at guntertraining.com.
Okay.
So either way would be great. I'd be happy to talk to anybody.
All right, we'll put that in the show notes. So I guess with that, just listen. I just thank you for everything, and I'm going to think about that letter, and I'll see about all the things. But just really, I'm glad that we were finally able to make this happen. So thanks for your time.
Me too. Thanks.